Dragon Ball Daima. Let's talk about it. Um, so Dragon Ball Daima has just finished its dubbed run. I was hoping to get this video out a little bit before, but some things happened, issues with editing software. That's the whole reason that you're actually going to get this in 4 parts, is because, quite frankly, my computer or the software I'm using, they can't handle it. I was just gonna do, a short 30-minute, 20-minute recap of Daima, a quick little review, but I just couldn't help myself. Daima has captivated me, I guess you could say. It's not perfect, but it's what we got as far as modern Dragon Ball goes. It looks wonderful. It has its issues, but mostly I think my take on it's going to be positive. There's going to be some negatives, but I'm going to try to stay positive. I love all things Dragon Ball, so I'm here for it. Plot wise, I'll admit right out the gate, it falls a little bit short. It's appears to be good at first, but then it kind of gets shaky and falls apart towards the end, especially with the whole plane situation, which we'll get to that. Trust me. But yeah, well, we're just gonna hop right into it. This is gonna be my Dragon Ball review. I know some other big names have just put out their reviews. I was hoping to get mine out a little bit before, but that's all right. And if there's some overlap, even better. I haven't watched all of the big names that have put theirs out. If you're watching this and you probably know who I'm talking about. But I noticed there was some overlap. Some things we cover kind of from a different lens, but we'll see. I'm gonna quit mumbling here, and we're just gonna get right into it. So without further ado, here is my comprehensive review on Dragon Ball Daima. I love the Daima intro. I think a quick recap of the Dragon Ball and its magic system, it's warranted here. And now more than ever, first time viewers are tuning into Dragon Ball, and for better or worse, Daima will be their first introduction to the franchise. It's also refreshing to see the characters introduced in Toriyama's more modern manga art style, even though personally I would have preferred Goku's original red gi over the yellow gi, but that's fine. We even get to see Raditz in the intro, reimagined in the Daima art style, which is amazing. I would love to see him eventually make a return. And we're also treated to a beautifully stunning parallel between Goku and Bardock. It's subtle, but it's a very impactful inclusion. I think considering how last minute of a change that the intro was, as they decided to make it an homage to the creator of Dragon Ball, who we sadly lost in March right before Daima released initially. It's nothing short of a miracle that it turned out this good. I mean, just the visuals, Goku reaching for the Dragon Balls, them flying off into the demon realm, shows us we're going somewhere foreign. With the somber and sad beginning, ending with an uplifting message, then telling us, here comes a new story. And then finally leading into an uplifting second half. Goku being surrounded by feathers, being a nod to Akira Toriyama's name, meaning bird. Then the onomatopoeia, Jan Jaka Jan, being the sound a guitar makes when being strummed. And I think it represents the energetic and adventurous tone that the series is taking. They even seamlessly mixed in the syllables for Akira Toriyama's name, which I thought was beautiful. And if you watch with the Japanese simulcast on, they intentionally spell out those syllables in bold, which I think is really cool. And then the whole thing ends perfectly with Shenron rising, shrouded in a beautiful, brilliant golden aura, and Goku firing a Kamehameha out at us. Episode 1, Conspiracy. Conspiracy opens with this brilliant, vibrant look at the Demon King Castle during a rainstorm. Right out the gate, they're letting us know that Daima's animation, it is not playing around. Having the best pre-production out of any other Dragon Ball run, it really shows here. Pretty much from the word go, we're hit with the shocking new lore with Goma and the Supreme Kai's brother Degasu. But before we can learn more, we're hit with arguably one of the best creative decisions to showcase Daima's new stunning animation and its faithfulness to the manga. We're treated with a breathtaking retelling of some of the main highlights of the Buu saga, derived from the manga, not the anime, given to us by none other than Shikashi Kubura. And if that name sounds familiar, he is the genius that brought us the fully animated intro to Dragon Ball Superhero. And to add icing on the cake, he's already expressed a strong interest in to reanimate the entirety of Dragon Ball Z in the manga faithful style. Now, some people may find the long intro to Daima tedious, but I find it refreshing, to see the art style covering scenes that we're familiar with, mixed with brand new lore that focuses on the demon realm. I think it's good. I think the only thing before this that we knew about the demon realm was all the way back in original Dragon Ball with Shulu, Melee, and Gola. We also get introduced to another new potential antagonist, the baddie Arinsu, who looks to be the other sibling of Shin. And looks aside, she likes to stir the pot and immediately sets Goma on the self-fulfilling prophecy to try and foil his plans. I mean, she literally causes Goma to do the one thing that would cause the Z-Fighters to enter the Demon Realm and try to take him down. My favorite bit of the new lore is the evil third eye and what it could potentially do. It seems kind of broken, but I will get there. I also love the introduction of the new Namekian from the demon world, especially one as seasoned as Neva. His experience combined with the fact that he's retained knowledge that the Namekians held before leaving the demon realm leaves room for pretty much infinite possibilities. Given that we don't know much about the Dragon Clan of Namekians aside from Guru and Dende, and a little bit of Mori, and we know Namekian history, it's extensive, and it's exciting to see how Neva can manipulate not only his Dragon Balls by creating 3 nearly unbeatable fighters, and how he just kind of butts in and hijacks Dende's and the Earth's Dragon Balls. And then we pivot to Capsule Corp for a party, because of course we do, and we get confirmation of my favorite headcanon, well, I guess it's not headcanon anymore, is that Saiyans, they stay small until about 15, and then all of a sudden they shoot up. This was hinted at in Superhero, and I'm glad that they're doubling down, because it's kind of always what I believe, because it's like Goku was small, and then all of a sudden we see him 3 years later and he's full height. And Gohan, he was small, and then Cell Saga, he didn't get much bigger, and then all of a sudden, boom, when he's 16, 17, he's his full height. On the downside, however, we're told that Kibito Kai diffused by entering Boo's body. I found needless and honestly worse than the previous explanation we got about Kibito Kai diffusing. We get told that they separated by entering Boo's body, but I think since they were gods, Shenron having to wish them apart works better. Besides, that implies that Vegito's fusion was permanent, but we know from Super that it's not. Now, I know that they only changed this because it wouldn't work with the timeline, given that the Dragon Balls are still inactive, and the Supreme Kai is going to be heavily involved in the story, so we need him separate from Kibito. Which brings me to my next point, that I think Shin is an excellent choice to bring alongside Goku into the Demon Realm. I don't think that he takes himself too seriously like Piccolo or Vegeta. It gives us a chance to learn a lot more about one of my favorite characters. But before we get to dive into the lore, we're treated to a beautiful and fluid training match between Goku and Vegeta that accumulates with the Gallic Gun Kamehameha Beam Clash before it happens. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, Goku and the gang are turned into kids again, and I'm not the only one who was nervous at first seeing this, but I actually think it was a good call for a back to roots anime. I think Goku and the gang having to adapt to being children again, coupled with them being in a foreign landscape with enemies who have tricky magical powers, which is something we know that they struggle with, works for the whole kind of mystical adventure vibe that Toriyama and the showrunners were going for. Finding out just how involved that Toriyama was in all aspects of Daima, it really put me at ease. And knowing what I know now after I've watched the show several times, I think it was the right call to get back in touch with the show's roots. Not only that, but to bring a new generation into the fold. Plus, I think Daima's smooth and flowing art style fits the child designs perfectly. But yes, moving into episode 2, finally the wish is made, and we're greeted to not the child versions per se, but the mini versions of all the characters. And I'm so glad that they brought Stephanie and Madeline back to voice Kid Goku. I personally didn't think that Colleen Clickenbeard's voice fit Kid Goku, although I did love her as Gohan and Kai. And let me tell you, Stephanie has still got it. You can tell she hasn't voiced Goku in a little bit and that she's getting a little bit up there, but she only gets better as the show progresses. I don't care so much for Krillin's child voice though. It's fine. I can tell that Laura Woodhull, she really tried her best, but nothing beats Laurie Steele as Krillin. All the other voices are good, I think. I like that they brought some of the OGs back, and I think Vegeta and Roshi's voices fit them pretty perfectly. Almost is a little off. I almost like she sounds too old, but I think the whole Mean Girls attitude her VA brings, it suits the character, and it kind of grew on me. Piccolo sounds a little bit too smooth for me. I think the tone is right, but I would have loved to hear a little bit more grit in his voice. Overall, I think it's pretty solid casting, even with the one pick I don't necessarily agree with. Now, you might be wondering, if everyone was shrunk down, where are Dende and Popo? Well, they're just chilling on the lookout, debating on whether or not to go to this party at Capsule Corp before they get jumped. And they're not spared from the wish either.
They seem to be having a good time. Shall we join the fun?
We'd better not. You and I both know that anything can happen at any time.
I think it's happening now.
What?
No, dude!
That brings us to Baby Dende and Mini Popo, whose designs are absolutely adorable. I mean, just look at little Popo's horns. It really showcases his demon heritage. Plus, we all know they had to nerf him, or else he absolutely would have clowned on their asses. But anyways, I like the nod to the Cell Saga with Supreme Kai's original ship being old and covered in moss. I think we get a decent excuse as to why it doesn't work, other than that, oh, it's just old, because the battle with Boo damaged it. The dub even gives us a half-decent joke with it, too.
Let's see here. Seriously? Okay. Wow, insurance would write this thing off.
It's also subtle, but I love Goku and Vegeta's dynamic in these first couple episodes. They really seem like they don't just tolerate each other anymore, but actually care. We get back into some of that late Z stuff where Vegeta is really softened up, and we get a funny jab about Vegeta's height from Goku in the first episode. And in the second episode, Goku's really genuinely upset about Dende, and it feels like Vegeta understands that, and he just kind of says, hey, Goku, calm down. There's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, that's really nice to see. And here we are. Goku flies off to grab something important after kind of testing out his range of motion as a kid, feeling it out, and after being dissatisfied, he flies off. And I'm sure a lot of us thought at first, oh, here we go, some more Sensu Bean plot armor, because we see that he's kind of flying towards Korin's. But then he mentioned the Nyaibo, the power pole, which of course, it makes perfect sense to increase his range and as a callback to the OG Dragon Ball. Plus, it really gives us a chance to see more funny young Roshi shenanigans as he's using the power pole to hang laundry. And I mean, even Vegeta seems a little bit jealous of Goku showing off his cool new stick. We also get some hints of corruption that's taken root in the Demon Realm, being the reason the Namekians and assumedly other races left. And we get this banger of a line dropped by Piccolo.
Comfort counts for something, but to a Namekian, freedom is worth more.
And lastly, the man himself, and the title of episode 2, a brand new character, Glorio. I absolutely love Glorio's design. I mean, this man comes in dripped to the gills, packing heat, gets this awesome, ominous intro, and sick-ass yellow eyes and a dope haircut. Not to mention, I think that his voice actor fits the role perfectly. And kind of immediately out the gate, we see some distrust. Supreme Kai is just grilling this guy, and he kind of has an answer for everything. He is on top of it. But yeah, they all get ready to go. They're in the ship. They're going to the Demon Realm, and they make the choice to sideline Vegeta, which I actually think is for the best, at least for the first part of the show. Like I said earlier, I think Supreme Kai works as a good foil for Goku's antics. Plus, I think Shin fits the vibe that they're going for in the beginning better. But back to Glorio. And it's pretty clear from the beginning, Shin does not fucking trust this guy. Like, he is not letting this guy out of his sight. He is breathing down his neck, keeping an eye on him. We get to the Demon Realm, and we see that it's split into 3 parts, which I think fits the universal map also being split into kind of 3 main sections. 4 really if you include the dimension of the Kais. I think if the show was a little bit more fleshed out or got a longer run, showing like the 9 circles of hell could have been fun. But after giving a pin to get in through these goldfish things that are like the gatekeepers, and they're also the portal to get in, which I think is cool. These things are steeped in goofy Toriyama design, which I absolutely love. I just love it when you can see definitively that something in the show that is Toriyama to the max. But yeah, immediately we get into the demon realm. It subverts our expectations by breaking open into this big, vast, like scrawling, vibrant landscape. But if you notice, it's made clear from the beginning that it's different, but at the same time similar to Earth, but potentially a lot more hazardous than Earth. I like the idea of the link between the different demon worlds being sealed off. The worlds basically become representative of social class, upper, middle, lower. I think it's much closer to the government we have now compared to the worldwide constitutional monarchy that's seen on Earth. It's kind of understood from the beginning. If you keep people divided, they're easier to control, and Glorio even touches on this.
And that's if you're from the first demon world, or one of a few from the second. Most of us are stuck wherever we start out.
And we're actually going to see several instances of corruption kind of seeded throughout as we go. Another thing to note, the environment, it just feels kind of closed in, like everything's in a giant dome, like a fishbowl. I wonder if that's intentional. I do appreciate the use of the environment as an obstacle for our characters to overcome on top of everything else. With Daima supposed to be a back to roots anime, kind of for the anniversary of Dragon Ball, I think the environmental limitations combined with them having to adapt to their child bodies does a good job of kind of reining in our characters so we can focus on the whole mystical adventure aspect of the show. And right out the gate, we're hit with how intense the demon realm really is. Goku's almost insta-killed by this unexplained sea of darkness.
Get back here! Do not fall into the sea of darkness! You'll die instantly!
And they're immediately just jumped by bandits. And it really feels like a lot of thought was given. The group's attacked by these bandits using arrows and spears that would normally be almost useless given the air density. And Goku even says something about how slow they are. But there's so many cliffs and floating islands around that they can just kind of let gravity do the work. Not like it matters though, because Papa Glorio just pulls out the Widowmaker and starts blasting. Kind of a quick side note here. I think Daima's animation is what modern Dragon Ball should be going forward. Tight and familiar digital animation with a sprinkling of CG in there to really make the background and fight scenes pop. And then we move on. They need a place to settle down for the night. And I like Glorio's experience with the innkeeper. It doesn't just tell us and feed us a piece of exposition, which has definitely been an issue in Dragon Ball before. It shows us, here's a guy who's experienced, badass, he knows what he's doing, he knows how to negotiate, and he haggles with the innkeeper. And another small detail, which there's a lot of those, I think it's really cool that they've really dialed it in and been focusing on a lot of small details, which confuses me towards the end. Anyways, another cool small detail is that the Dokuro, the demon realm currency that we see when he's haggling with the innkeeper, it means skull. And it's about the same value as any, I think. It's similar to Japanese yen, and he haggles it from 30,000, which is about 200 USD, to down to 5,000, which is about 35 USD, which I think those numbers make sense, but I don't think it's meant to be looked too hard into. After negotiating, I'd be terrified too after seeing what that hand cannon can do. I think the first fight scene we get is done well. It reminds me of kind of like a Jackie Chan comedy fight or something. Maybe something from like Drunken Fist. But yeah, great way to showcase Glorio's ingenuity and give Goku a chance to adapt and get used to fighting in those conditions. I don't even mind that it's done through an overplayed bar fight scene. Plus, we get some sick guitar and drums during the fight. I don't know if I can play any of that. And then moving on, after getting some grub and settling down for the night, the plane gets stolen. I really hope that this doesn't become a recurring theme. Into episode 4, these idiots gotta walk now because the air is too thick to fly long distances and the plane's been jacked. Definitely not going to be an issue with the sea of instantly fucking kills you running right through their path. Well, really, it's more like a chasm than a sea, but I digress. But anyways, they try to fly over the Sea of Darkness, but Pinter from fucking Planet Sheen attacks him. It doesn't really matter though because Papa Glorio absolutely bodies this thing. Also, is the Sea of Darkness like 2 feet deep? But anyways, after we get past that, we get this cool 2-second fight scene between Goku and this giant club guy. And it might not seem like much, but it really demonstrates that Daima Goku does not have Super Goku syndrome, where he's caught off guard constantly. And it was one of my biggest pet peeves with Super, and I'm really glad it's missing in Daima.
How did you see that attack coming? My eyes were peeled, but I totally missed it.
I mean, we see dumb Goku and Superhero, but I'm glad that the manga fixes it. Okay, and then we get to some issues here with the English dub. They just kind of throw in random pop culture references for no reason. I'm looking at you, Alley-oop Goku. We go into a shop and we get to see these cool bugs that they have for sale that do all kinds of things. Like, one's a fill-in for the sensu beans, one's really good for your skin, and we actually get kind of a funny bit with Bulma at the end, which is kind of neat. But pay attention to these fusion bugs. They're going to be really important later, I promise, guys. But we get this funny scene kind of where they're talking about the bugs, and Supreme Kai is like, "Ugh, get those away from me."
A dead bug!
It's kind of funny. And throughout the whole time, I think it's funny too, is he never calls Glorio by the right name. He's like, Glorio. Yeah, then we gotta figure out a way to get from point A to point B without the plane, and we get this weird seed thing that blasts you. There's no way to aim it or control it or anything. And the guy that's showing it off, he really gives me strong Zelda vibes in this scene here. I mean, just look at this.
It's a fantasy flight where true love blossoms and dreams come true. So hop on board and take a thrilling ride on the world-famous Sky Shade.
But then after they land, finally the Dragon Balls are introduced. I did not think it would take us 4 episodes to get here, but it is Dragon Ball. I'm fine with there only being 3 because it makes up for them being incredibly hard to collect, which is a big step up from the Cerulean Dragon Balls. There's only 2 of them, and they're just there. And then Glorio kind of lets a little bit more slip here, and we just get like some more dynamic between him and Shen, who is just not having it. He does not trust this guy. And then at the end of episode 4, we get a lot thrown in. We see a strong military presence with the, is it Gendarmerie or Gendarmerie? We're going to say Gendarmerie. I think that's how they pronounce it. We see a strong military presence. It's showing more of a dictatorship. I also like the concept of taking lifespan instead of money, implying that it kind of goes off of the whole like end time rules. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, but it's not really explained and they don't do much with it. I also think that the collars really hit the war era dictatorship vibe that I think they're going for. And then we get introduced to Pansy. Now, I think Pansy's introduction is hilarious. She shows up wearing this mysterious looking mask with this foreboding music playing in the background, making you think that she is here to save the day, but then she's immediately captured. So she tases the hell out of the guy, makes it another 2 feet, and is scooped up again, so Goku has to step in. The Gendarmerie also have these weird staff laser guns thing, which I think are cool, and they work well with Goku using the Nyaibo to fight. But yeah, so we're introduced to Pansy, filling our final protagonist spot. We also see that she's a child.
There is only one thing worse. Boom. A child. No.
An 80-something-year-old child, but a child nonetheless, so it makes sense how she immediately got her ass handed to her. And then we move into episode 5, where Pansy gives Goku a donut.
These donuts are great. Jelly-filled are my favorite. Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut.
And shows that she can also do magic, which is interesting because she implies that all Majin can do magic, but she's ass and can barely even make a rock float. That's fine though, because she reveals that machines are really her specialty, which is definitely not foreshadowing or anything. And then about a third of the way into the episode here, they touch on some heavier topics, which I like. They talk about how kind of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer with the whole lifespan thing.
It's crazy, right? And the less you can afford to pay, the more they take. Those who already have it the worst end up losing 9 years.
So we find out that the average lifespan in the third Demon World 2, it's 1,000 years, and they take away 10 every time you can't pay. Now imagine this, that the government or like the credit card company took a year off of your life every time you missed a payment, because that's roughly what it's equivalent to. And then we also find out that Pansy is the daughter of this mafia boss that they're going to see to get a part that they need. And they really lean into the whole mafia boss aesthetic, which I think is funny. And they parody like the you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding" line.
You come to me with children!
And there's also some more weird dub stuff where she's like, "He saved my hide for real."
He saved my hide for real.
On God? Okay, on God. No cap.
So we also get kind of a red herring scene where it's revealed that Glorio told the mafia boss he would bring 2 fighters that could take down Goma, which Supreme Kai is not buying. That was what he was hiding the whole time.
You realize we now have proof that Glorio is deceiving us. Huh? When we got here, Kadan was shocked to see that we'd been turned into children. And what's more, he didn't enlist Glorio to recruit you. Glorio was the one who approached him. He was lying to us from the start.
That's all true now that you mention it. But hey, in the end, does it really matter?
The mafia boss guy wants to test Goku out because he doesn't believe that he's that strong.
But indulge me, Goku. I'm sure you realize I can't just take you at your word that you're that strong. Would you mind giving us a demonstration?
And we get some more of Goku kicking ass, and he's getting the hang of fighting with this new body, and he even shows off a little hint of some Super Saiyan ore to boot. Kind of like Vegeta in the Broly movie. We also get a beautiful instrumental version of the main theme layered over the top of it, showing that once again, Goku is on top. Another clever plot device that Daima uses that I talked about earlier is the pin code, because we get to see that again. That's tied to each of the ship's registration. So we learn a little bit more about that. That gives us an excuse to have Hybis, the goat, come in and kind of serve as Vegeta and the other's guide to the demon realm, and for something else later. I do think that the dub works better at some points, getting the whole mafia aesthetic across. He kind of talks in a Brooklyn accent or a New York accent.
Hands in motion. So you gonna wait for your friends? Might be a while before they get here.
And it's also some of the Americanized terms I think fits better with that stylization. Like when Pansy calls the new plane they're given a jalopy. I think that's kind of funny.
Plus, I'm a whiz with machinery. Should be helpful when this jalopy falls out of the sky.
Alright, so after all this nonsense, the gang finally gets to take off in the new plane, of which the engine immediately explodes and the plane crashes. And that's going to be it for part 1. Kind of a slow start, slow build up. We haven't even seen, we're a quarter of the way through and we haven't even seen Super Saiyan yet. Given where we know this goes, things kind of go from 0 to 60, which is fine because I know they're really trying to rein our characters in and have it be more of that like grand adventure aspect, because it's really meant to be a nod to original Dragon Ball and kind of have the show bring in a new audience, bring in a new generation, and not be so serious. But at the end of the day, it's a martial arts show. It's a fighting show. And I think at the end, that's why we go from 0 to 60 and the plot kind of falls apart. It's not an excuse, but I think that's why it happens. But we'll get to see more of that later. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you're curious about. And if I don't have the second part finished, I'll add to it. If you guys are curious more or want me to talk about more of the lore, or if I missed anything that you guys were curious about, let me know. But that's going to be part 1 of my Dragon Ball Daima review. Hey guys, Future Devin here, and I'm going to keep it real with you. This was probably one of my harder projects that I've ever worked on, if not the hardest. Ran into a lot of technical difficulties with this one too. I think I need to upgrade the memory on my PC. There's just constantly crashing when I got to a certain point with this. That's why this is going to be in multiple parts, is because quite frankly, the time that it would have taken to get this out with everything I had to deal with the constant crashing, it would have taken way too long, and I don't even think it would have been possible to finish it without uploading it in parts, given what I'm working with right now. But I did really enjoy it, and if you guys like the video, I don't normally do this, but if you wouldn't mind showing your support, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Even if you don't like Daima, I hope that you got something out of this video. Maybe you like the humor, maybe you just like hearing me talk, I don't know. But anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for the support. I really do appreciate this, and even though there's not a lot of you guys right now, just knowing that somebody actually cares to watch what I'm putting out, that's enough. But yeah, if you want to support the channel and help the channel grow, there's the Patreon that I always link down below. Feel free. It's free. I have a free section, and the only stuff that I put on there under the paid section, which is just I think $1 a month, is like the scripts and stuff. And hopefully eventually I'll be able to put some more extra stuff on there, but we're not there yet. But yeah, thank you guys. If there's anything that you want to see, please let me know down in the comments. I really need some engagement on these videos, and that would be much appreciated. But I'm gonna quit rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.